Hello, everyone. My name is Philip, and I'm here to introduce you to TinkerCAD, a free web-based 3D modeling software. TinkerCAD can be reached by navigating to tinkercad.com. That's tinkercad.com. If you already have a TinkerCAD account, you can sign in at the top right corner of your screen. If you don't, you can create an account. You can sign in with a Google, Apple, Microsoft, or Facebook account if you want them to be linked, or you can just sign up with an email address. TinkerCAD is available on pretty much any web-connected platform. You can even play around with it on your phone, although you may find the touchscreen controls a little tricky to use. Today we're going to be focusing on mouse and keyboard controls. Let's go to Create New Design. When you create a new design in TinkerCAD, it will generate a random name that you can see in the top left corner of your screen. And I do mean a random name. You can edit the name at any time, though, which makes remembering what a project is a lot easier. This is your basic screen in TinkerCAD. You have your Workplane grid here. Right now I have mine set to millimeters. If you right-click with your mouse, you can adjust your view. You can zoom in and out with the scroll wheel on your mouse. And if you click and hold the mouse wheel, you can move the entire Workplane around your screen. You also have Workplane controls on the left side of your screen. If you ever get lost in your Workplane, click the Home button here. That will reset your view. On the top left side of your screen, you'll see your copy, paste, duplicate and repeat, delete, undo, and redo commands. Each of these also has a keyboard shortcut. On the top right, you'll see the Show All, Group, Ungroup, Align, and Mirror commands. The right side menu here contains your shapes. Today we're just going to work with the basic shapes, although there are lots of other options when you're feeling a little more confident with the software. Items shown in color are solid objects, while items shown in gray with lines through them like this are holes that you'll make in solid objects. Click on the shape and drag it to your Workplane. If you hover over the white squares, you can see the dimensions of the object. If you click and drag on the white squares, you can manipulate two dimensions at once. Clicking and dragging on the black squares will allow you to change one dimension at a time. You can also click on a displayed dimension and use the keyboard to manually enter a number. If you hold the Shift key while changing any dimensions, it will maintain the existing ratios of the shape. You'll see, if you click on your shape again, a black cone floating over the top of your shape. You can use this cone, click and drag, to change the position of your object relative to the Workplane. If you use the black arrow icons on the shape, you can change the angle of your object. Clicking and dragging allows you to rotate a shape like so along any of your three axes. Like with a dimension, an angle can also be manually adjusted. Let's bring this back up to the workplane surface. And now let's add a second shape. Let's bring a cylinder over here. And you can see it side by side with our existing shape. We have the same controls to adjust this shape size. Shrink it down, use the cone here to raise it, and then click and drag the shape to bring it over on top of our other object here. If we use the left mouse, we can select both shapes and combine them using the group command. They can also be ungrouped for additional adjustment. If you would like, you can also use the align option to select one or more objects and use these black dots to align them relative to one another. Don't be afraid to experiment. You can always undo anything that you have done in TinkerCAD, even though it does automatically save as you go along. Let's go ahead and bring a hole into play. Click and drag one of the hole shapes to your work plane. We can adjust the size of it, just like we could any of our solid objects. And then combine it with our solid piece. Again, if you would like for more precision, you can use the align options with the whole pieces as well. We select and group a whole piece with our solid object. That leaves us a hole through our solid object. Shapes can also be locked so that no adjustments can be made to them. Using this light bulb icon, you can also hide a shape from view. If you lose track of where your shapes are, use the Show All command at the top right to unhide everything. When you have an object selected and unlocked, you'll see you can adjust a solid object to a whole piece and vice versa. Like so. Even a custom object can be converted to a whole piece. You can adjust pieces from the shape menu as well. Again, do not be afraid to experiment. Half of the fun of TinkerCAD comes from just playing around and getting to know what the different commands do. As always, you can undo anything that you've done. When you're done with your creation, you can use the export command here at the top right to export your design for printing. Remember that PPLD's 3D printers require your design to be saved as an STL file. Also, quick disclaimer, not everything that you can make in TinkerCAD is guaranteed to be printable. Let's clear our work plane and make a quick project. We're going to be working from a design by Monash University student Muthu Velayapan. He created a tool called a safety key that allows you to interact with door handles and elevator buttons, etc., without direct contact with your hands. We'll start with a solid box. And then we'll flatten it down to about 10 millimeters thick. You add a pair of cylindrical holes and combine them with your existing box, you can make the finger holes. We'll take a little bit of the upper piece of the structure off. Then we'll take a larger box down here. I'm going to make this about 40 millimeters long. Group that. And then I'm going to use a combination of two different sizes of cylinders that will allow this piece to slide over door handles of varying sizes. About 35 millimeters there. And then a smaller cylinder right there, just in case. Now, if you feel that that's not going to be sturdy enough, we can drop a little more back in. I think I narrowed too much out of that to start with. So we'll adjust here. Drop that back down to that 10 millimeter height. And again, just combine that to get our solid shape again. Then I'm going to take another smaller box. And combine it with a cylinder here. Leave that there to give us a slightly rounded bit on the front end of this for pushing on any buttons. And I'm also going to leave it slightly raised above the existing surface, just in case you need to be able to catch an edge on something. Group everything together. And there you go. Now, for one last little bit of customization, we'll pull our text shape over from our basic shapes menu. Click here in the text window and change it to your name. Scale that down and drag it over here. And again, adjust the height of it so it comes up just slightly above that 10 millimeter base height of our object. Left click to select everything, group it all together, and there you go. Your very own 3D printed, well, 3D modeled safety key, ready for printing at your earliest convenience. That about wraps things up for our Intro to TinkerCAD video here. Go forth and make.